Raoul Wallenberg was born on August 4th, 1912 in Lindeå municipality, Sweden. He lived in a fatherless home due to his father's passing of cancer the year before he was born. After graduating high school and finishing his compulsory 8 months in the Swedish army, Wallenberg's grandfather sent him to study in Paris. After a year in Paris in 1931, he moved to the United States to study at the University of Michigan to study architecture. While on a business trip to Nazi-occupied France, Wallenberg discovered the mistreatment of Jews. But back home in Hungary, Wallenberg realized that the Nazi outbreak was more serious than he thought. After witnessing how inhumane the Nazis were to the Jews, Wallenberg created fake passports known as a Schultz pass, which labeled the bearer as a Swedish non-Jew. This in itself saved tens of thousands of Jews due to the Nazis regularly checking citizen identification. Wallenberg also created housing for the Jews to hide from the Nazis. They were disguised as Swedish facilities known as the Swedish Library and the Swedish Research Institute. Each building could fit about 10,000 Jews. After that, Wallenberg left to go to Budapest for the Swedish legation. He then handed out more passports by sneaking into freight trains and handing out as many Schultz passes as possible. This resulted in 250,000 Jews surviving. At one point, Wallenberg was able to have the assistance of 300 people to help him in his journey to save the Jews. During this time, Eichmann, a German Nazi SS, started his brutal death marches. He went through with his promised deportation plan by forcing increasingly large numbers of Jews to leave Hungary by foot. The first march started on November 20th, 1944, and the conditions along the 200-kilometer road between Budapest and the Austrian border were so horrendous that even the Nazi soldiers accompanying the Jews complained themselves. The marching Jews could be counted in the thousands of never-ending rows of starving and tortured people. Raoul Wallenberg was in the place all the time to hand out protective passes, food, and medicine. He threatened and bribed until he managed to free those with Swedish passes. Later in 1944, Wallenberg persuaded Germans to prevent a fascist plan to blow up Budapest ghettos and a mass killing of 70,000 people. For unknown reasons, in 1945, Raoul Wallenberg was imprisoned in Moscow, Russia at the SSFR prison. 2 years later, on July 17, 1947, Raoul Wallenberg was found dead in his cell due to a heart attack. Raoul Wallenberg's valiant effort and immense bravery led to the lives of almost 300,000 Jews being saved. Raoul Wallenberg was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize 2 times, in 1948 and 1949, after his death. To memorialize his valiant efforts, many coins, statues, and songs were named in his honor.